All right, good morning,
Hi,
everyone. Hi,
how
welcome.
are you? Thank you.
Thank you, Miki, for your time today. And I'm very happy to have you and learn more about you, your brand, your business, your passion, and your achievements. You are one amazing woman. I would like to introduce you to our small community personal branding program. So if you can introduce yourself and let us know what is all about you.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you for having me. I feel kind of privileged and honored to ask. Well, as you know, I'm Omima Miki, and Miki is my author's name. And I am a screenwriter and a children's book author. And from the time, I host shops that allow kids to write books as well and publish their works. That's what I do. I would say that I wrote for many video games, but I've stopped doing that now, just kind of focusing more on children book writing because it's easier. And as they say, you have to write for kids. So as a single mom, most of my experience now is catered around my children. So that's what I know. And that's what inspires me to work on that now.
Okay, so that means you are making money from your business and that's the only income you have to support your family. And can you share with us how is working with the kids and why is important to teach kids about creative writing and how they can help them?
That's a good question. Most of my income comes from my writing, and I enjoy it so much. They say, you have to enjoy what you do. You have to be passionate about it. Otherwise, what's the point, right? I work with kids because I can relate to them, and I actually listen to them. Like a lot of people don't really listen carefully to what kids are actually trying to say, and they'll just kind of write them away or write them off. But they're actually saying some really interesting stuff if you take the time to listen and observe and, take notes of what they're doing, the little ins and outs. It's kind of interesting. And actually, my daughter and my son, they're brilliant. They come up with the most interesting stuff I've ever experienced in my whole life combined. And I use that. And then I find that other people are actually interested in it as well. And then that, inspires me to go talk to other kids and hear their stories and write their stuff down. I'm thinking that there's something to that. Why do adults have to write for kids? Why not kids write for kids? They speak the same lingo. They have interesting, similar experiences. All they need help with is just shaping, the stories so that it's readable and understandable to everyone else. But yeah, that works. It's been working so far.
Amazing. And your kids who you are working with are mostly Japanese or they're foreigners or both?
They're both.
And is there any difference between Japanese kids and all other kids in terms of how they are writing, how they express themselves?
That is a very good question. Actually, yes, it is. Japanese kids, and I'm not going to say for all of them, but for the students that I've worked with and from the parents that I've met with, they're not as expressive as other kind of culture, other cultures or students from other countries. They're very internal, and so they're very shy to say something even on paper when no one's going to see it yet. They're very shy about it, so you kind of have to coax them into talking about something and letting it trickle down to talk about something else and then deeper into something else. And by the time you get to the core of what they want to say, they actually shock themselves that they've said and written all this, cool stuff that they've buried inside. And the parents actually get impressed with their kids too, because they're like, I didn't know they were feeling this way. And I didn't know that happened to them. And it's just like, you got to get it out of them. So yeah, but I don't want to say foreigners, but non-Japanese students or kids, they're more expressive. They're more free, they're free-minded. And so they actually say too much. So you kind of have to hone it back to the point. So there's kind of like an imbalance there, but yeah.
But you said kids writing the stories for the kids. So I think in your class, actually, when they start work together, they don't see the difference between different nationalities. So I think everything disappears.
They don't. They're so involved with what they're trying to say and interested in what the other kid is trying to say that they're like now chiming or vibing off of each other's experience, and then it makes them want to work together and think about new ideas. And I'm sitting there the whole time like, yeah. Because because that's what you want, you know? So,
Okay, and how actually you, because you are like in Japan, in Tokyo,
yeah.
so most of the people here don't speak English. How do you find your clients?
How do I find my clients?
Mhm.
These days, I'm not really seeking clients per se,
Mhm.
because I have, you know, clients already that call me when they want me to do something else.
Mhm.
And that being said, I was doing ghostwriting, which I'm still doing right now, which
Mhm.
is you're writing for other people, their thoughts and ideas and stories.
Mhm.
But the thing about being a ghostwriter is that it's almost the same as donating to a charity anonymously. You don't get any recognition. People don't know who you are. You're like behind the scenes, the shadow that's making someone else's stuff come to life. So, you know, that was fine. But again, going back to children's books, it's just easier.
Mhm. 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 And what kind of advice you can give for people who are considering to write a book? What kind of preparation they need to take before even they contact you to help
Okay.
them? Mhm.
From, you know, basic writing 101, write what
Mhm.
you know. Write from experience. You can always add the bells and the whistles and embellish it and over
Mhm.
exaggerate it later,
Mhm.
but take a real experience that you have and then put that into whatever it is you're trying to write, because no one wants to read something from someone who has no experience in what they're talking about. And that applies to everything. I mean, even if it's a dragon, a robot, you know, computer technology, whatever it is you're writing, you need to research and know what it is you're trying to say. And I guess the second thing is always be organized. It doesn't matter if it's a kid's book, a dictionary, like whatever it is you're trying to write, be organized. Get all that stuff down on paper, fiddle around with it like a puzzle. And once you have this nice outline of your narrative, then you can begin your book. That's basic 101, and it's very important.
So you touched the right point. Like when you're writing for somebody else, how do you feel? What is emotion? Are you like thinking from the perspective of that person, or you're just professional who is looking like more from the content point of view?
Actually, it's a little bit of both. So as a ghostwriter, you know, it takes time, because you actually really have to be involved with that person's life, not just what they want to write about. You got to get to know them, because at the end of the day, people will read this book and they'll associate the book to the person's name on the book. And if that person doesn't sound like the way the book is written, that's kind of odd, right? So I have to be them. You know, I have to kind of take off the Mimi suit and put on the other person's suit and be them. But at the same time, I also have to detach myself from the story, right? I'm putting them in the story, but I'm taking myself out. Because if I'm attached to it, then it becomes my baby. And then when I see it on the shelves, I'm like, I did that, but I can't say that. I can't say it. So I kind of have to let go, you know, like a kid that's grown up, leaving the nest. Bye. But yeah, it's a little bit of both. And it's emotional at times too, because depending on how long the book is, you get so tied to it, you know, because you became them, you were them, you feel for them, you're like, I am you, I'm your twin, I get this, I get you now. And then, you know, a tear comes down.
But do you have your own book, some book you wrote by yourself?
I do. I have a couple of children's books that were,
Mhm.
one was published this year in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
another one's on the way.
Can you
And
share more about that?
yes, I will. And the other works that I've done, they weren't books. They were for games. They were contract jobs. So, you know, Amazon or whomever. But the children's books, yeah, the first one is called Pera Pera. And
Pera
it's
Pera.
a Pera Pera. So it's a mix between English and Japanese gibberish. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Can't speak Japanese 100%. Can't speak English 100%. This book is great. And it's a poem and song book. And it was actually written by me and my kids, which took 2 years to do. And it was funny because every day I would walk my daughter and my son to school. And on the way to school, we would be making up songs and riddles and weird stuff. And then my son, who is musically inclined and a genius, he would come up with this little rhythm and tone. I'm like, this is good. This is good. And I take out my phone and I'm like, record this now. And we did that every single day. And by the time we were done, we had a good 80 songs to pick from to edit, revise, and then that was it. That was a golden book right there. And I was so impressed. But it took a long time because I wanted to build it up. So.
Yeah, because this group like is contained of 150 female entrepreneurs from all over the world.
Amazing.
We are so proud on this group. So can you also help some of the women who are considering to write a book about their life achievements or their business?
Whatever I mean, if there's anyone out there that is interested in writing something for themselves, not necessarily having a ghostwriter, but just needs some consultation or some advice, maybe even help getting organized or kind of honing in onto the point of what you want to write about, I can provide that. Then again, if someone wants me to write their story for them, I can do that. So yeah, I mean, if anyone is interested, I'd love to be of service, especially to this community, because I love helping other female entrepreneurs. It's such an important thing.
Yeah, and I can also share, I'm writing a book and I'm planning to work with you. So I'm writing a book about a 5-0 society.
I know, this is going to be great. Yeah. This is great.
So thank you very much for supporting me and for providing me with a great advice. So
it's the least I can do. Yeah. It's the least. So, you helped me in more ways than one.
Yeah. So hopefully it will be out by end of this year, and that will be my first book. So very exciting about that.
Good.
Okay. So we are talking about personal brand here. So how you use personal brand in order to live your passion, in order to live your purpose, and help other people maybe to find what their purpose in life.
My brand? That's an interesting one. So, for me, okay, I'm going to take it back a little bit. Like for me, when I was a kid, the books that I read really resonated with me, right? Like when you're a kid, everything you read, you kind of really remember. And when you grow up, you're like, oh, I remember that book, or you'll save the book and pass it to your kids. And then your kids pass it to their kids and they get, and it kind of trickles down like a legacy. And for me, that is my brand. The name itself, Aoi Miki, is important to me. And whatever that name is on, that is my stamp card. That is me. And it doesn't matter if someone knows if I'm a guy, a girl, an alien. It doesn't matter. My brand is my name. And what I tie that onto is the point for me. I would say that sure, marketing is also important for the books. And my audience is also very important because it's mostly families that are, seeking me out for their kids. But I think building my name up to a point where you see the name and you go, oh, that's Aoi Miki, right? Just like a Dr. Seuss book, you see Dr. Seuss, oh, Dr. Seuss, you automatically know that. So for me,
yeah, absolutely. And I think all these people who are helping with as a ghostwriter, actually you are helping them to build their own brands, because when they start to write, they start to actually increase their self-awareness. And I know in my experience, like how difficult might be just to write like 2 or 3 pages, and what kind of new perspective I get from the writing. So that's amazing. Okay, so basically I will post this interview on our Facebook group.
That sounds great.
Please be free to share your contact information. So if any of our female entrepreneurs, business owners want to be in touch with you,
sure,
that will be cool. And
thank you. I love that. Yes, reach out to me, people.
Absolutely, yeah, amazing. Okay, have a great day, and talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.